In the gospel, John wants us to know that Jesus is the Word. Jesus was in the beginning, before creation, and is part of eternity with God. Mary and Joseph were blessed with an extraordinary gift of faith in God and in his plan. Like Mary and Joseph, you and I have been gifted with faith in God, which we live as followers of his Son, Jesus, the Word made flesh. We live our lives in faith day by day, month by month, year by year. Jesus became flesh and became one of us in every way except sin. He even had the same emotions that we do. Jesus came to convince us that God, the Father, really does care about us. I'd like to share a story. Once there was a man who looked upon Christmas with a lot of humbug. But he was not a Scrooge, though. He was a kind, decent man. He was generous to his family and upright in all his dealings with other men and women. However, he did not believe all that stuff about the incarnation which the church proclaims. He told his wife, who attended Mass faithfully, "I simply cannot understand this claim that God becomes man. It does not make any sense to me," he said. On Christmas Eve, his wife and children went to Mass, and he declined to accompany them. "I would feel like a hypocrite," he explained. Shortly after his family left, the snow began to fall, and it got heavier and heavier. While sitting by the fire, he was startled by a thudding sound, thinking someone was throwing snowballs at his window. When he went to the front door, he found a flock of birds caught in the storm. And in desperate search for shelter, they were trying to fly through his window. "I can't let these poor creatures lie there and freeze," he said to himself. "But how can I help them?" Then he remembered his barn. It would provide a warm shelter for them. So he tramped through the snow to the barn, opened the doors wide, turned on the light, but the birds did not come in. So he got some breadcrumbs and sprinkled them on the snow to make a trail to the barn. Still, the birds did not come in. Trying to shoo them into the barn also did not work. He said to himself, "I cannot seem to think of any way to let them know they can trust me. If only I could be a bird myself for a few minutes, perhaps I could lead them to safety." At that moment, the church bells began to ring. He stood silent for a while, listening to the bells ringing the glad tidings of Christmas. Then he sank to his knees in the snow. "Now I do understand," he whispered to himself. "Now I see why Jesus had to come had to do it. That was a Christmas parable written by Louis Cassels, and is a simple, beautiful way to explain the mystery of Christmas. God himself incarnated for us, to save us, to be present with us, and to give us himself as a baby. Jesus had to come to us to show us how much his Father loves us and wants us to trust him and become part of him. Only Jesus can tell us what the Father is like, what God's will is for us, what God's love, heart, mind are like, and that what the Father feels and desires for each one of us. What we need more this Christmas than anything is a double portion of love for everyone. We need to show it in our families, our parish, our community, and yes, even in our country. We need to be reminded what Christmas is really all about. It's about a child who breaks into the darkness of our world and reminds us that we can be different, that we can be better, that we can be holy. It's about a God who wants to be near us in our joys, our sorrows, and tragedies, who wants to lift us up. It's about a God who loves us so much, that he becomes one of us in the most tender and precious form possible. A little baby in that quiet manger on a silent night in that little town of Bethlehem. My dear friends, you are welcome here each week to be close to his tenderness, his love, his mercy, his gentleness. Ever since Jesus Christ was born a little baby boy, he has never stopped reaching out to us and always being there to be with us and touch us. If I ask you, what is the first thing a baby does? Many will say, cry. But my dear friends, the first thing a baby does is touch. Touches in the womb, touches when they're born, touches when they live. Ask any mother who wants to feel her child, any father. You've held a baby. We look at the crib. His arms are open. He wants to touch us. That same incarnation that took place in the manger is made present in the Eucharist here today that we receive. Baby Jesus himself is present in the Eucharist. When Bishop Rhodes was the Bishop of Harrisburg, he once said at a deacon retreat that each time he kisses the altar during Advent and the Christmas season, he knows he's kissing baby Jesus in the crib. My dear friends, you can give God no greater gift this Christmas than to give him your love in return, because he's poured it out to each one of us. And in a new year, to be here with him as he reaches out to you, touches you, and feeds you with his love. My dear friends, this Christmas season, remember, what do I profit if Jesus is born in 1,000 cribs all over the world, unless he is born in my heart and in my life? May you and your loved ones have a very blessed and peaceful Christmas season, and New Year. Praise be baby Jesus, now and forever. Amen.